the Aam Aadmi Party government for its inaction during the COVID era, saying that there was gross underutilization of over 750 crore rupees during the COVID pandemic time, when Delhiites were seen running from pillar to post to obtain a COVID bed. Should the full truth come out, what is it that the Aam Aadmi Party's alleged omissions and commissions are, whether it is Liquorgate, whether it is Sheesh Mahal, or whether it is the inept response during COVID? All that and more through the course of this show. But let's first take a look at what is it that the CAG report is saying new in terms of details. What light is it shedding on the significant financial mismanagement that is linked to the excise policy that was brought forth by Mr. Kejriwal's government? Number one, it says there was massive revenue loss to the tune of over 2,000 crore rupees because of the delays in obtaining the necessary permissions for the opening of liquor vends, particularly in non-conforming wards. The CAG has also found violations of licensing procedures, no proper screening of applicants. It is also pointed out that the wholesaler margin was significantly increased. In the old excise policy, it was just 5%. It went more than double to 12%, leading to higher prices for consumers and a lack of regulation over the distribution system, the retail distribution system, that is. The CAG has also noted that the Delhi government ignored. There was an expert committee that was formed for this particular purpose. The recommendations of that expert committee were ignored, and a new policy was formulated and implemented without taking into account what the experts had recommended. The former government of the Aam Aadmi Party is also accused of inadvertently enabling monopolies in the liquor distribution market, as well as brand pushing. The CAG also chastises the former government for pushing certain companies and gaining disproportionate influence in the retail market. The report also flags illegal opening of liquor vends close to hospitals, close to schools, the pricing mechanism which it says lacked transparency, the violation of testing rules, specifically regarding safety and quality. And lastly, the report also emphasizes that there was weak enforcement against illegal liquor trade, with the policy failing to curb black market activities effectively. Let's listen in to a political face-off, and then we'll go across to our guests on this particular story.
ये बात उनको अच्छे से पता थी कि सीएजी की रिपोर्ट आ रही है और उसमें बहुत बड़ा भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है, और ये सीएजी की रिपोर्ट में आया है कि 2002 करोड़ रुपए का भ्रष्टाचार, उसमें जितना मैंने पढ़ा है, और उसके बाद में पढ़ेंगे, अगले दिन में इसकी चर्चा होगी, सारी बातें आपके सामने आएंगी।
ऐसी ही एक रिपोर्ट लेके केजरीवाल दिल्ली की राजनीति में आए थे। आज ऐसी रिपोर्ट उनके भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ दिल्ली की जनता के सामने है, और शर्मनाक बात यह है कि केजरीवाल और उनका गैंग का कोई आदमी इस पे मुंह खोलने को तैयार नहीं है। ये रिपोर्ट आज टेबल हुई है, ये सार्वजनिक होगी, दिल्ली की जनता के एक एक व्यक्ति तक जाएगी।
आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार ने लगातार बार बार ओल्ड एक्साइज पॉलिसी में हो रहे भ्रष्टाचार को दिल्ली वालों के सामने रखा कि किस तरह से ओल्ड एक्साइज पॉलिसी में शराब के दाम को इन्फ्लेट किया जाता था, किस तरह से लिकर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स ज्यादा मुनाफा कमाते थे गलत दाम बताकर। हरियाणा से, यूपी से स्मगल होके शराब दिल्ली में आती रही, और आज आम आदमी पार्टी सरकार की इस बात पर सीएजी की इस रिपोर्ट ने मोहर लगा दी है।
All right, I want to go straight across to Rohan Gupta, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Sunny Ahluwalia is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Let me start with you, Mr. Ahluwalia. This is what the headline figure is from the CAG report. A net loss of 2,002 crore rupees to the state exchequer because of non-opening of shops, 941 crore loss. Because of non-retendering, 890 crore loss. Fee waiver to licensees, 144 crore loss. The CAG has flagged massive revenue loss, license violation, no screening, increase of wholesaler margin, more than doubling of wholesaler margin, ignoring expert committee recommendations, and lack of transparency and weak checks, enabling monopolies and brand pushing. These are the findings of an independent auditor that looked at the Aam Aadmi Party's excise policy. Does this not confirm what the CBI and the ED have found against your leaders?
So tell me one more thing, that this report has been submitted today, but they were talking about this before the elections as well, that there was some report which is coming out. So they have only come out with one report. Just tell me who was the prime accused in this excise policy? Whether it was some Reddy and whether they were linked to Bharatiya Janata Party. Was this policy wrong? The first policy was wrong or the second policy wrong? How come the Atishi ji on your channel was just saying, the report which you are showing, that there were two chapters around it. There are 7 chapters on excise policy, which was before that, and 1 chapter on the policy, which was second one. We were saying that first policy had a problem. That was the reason that we changed the first policy and we brought the new policy in the place. Then who is responsible? Why the second policy, which is also right now working in Punjab and giving the revenue of 10,000 crores extra in Punjab, why it was not allowed in Delhi? What was the reason behind it, and who are the people behind it? And when the prime accused, the person Mr. Reddy, was caught, he was taking electoral bonds from Bharatiya Janata Party of 60 crores. What is the reason? Why Bharatiya
No,
Janata
Mr.
Party is not talking about the
Ahluwalia, the
Reddy?
CAG has
Why?
found 2,000 crore loss to the exchequer. The reason why you went from new excise policy and reverted back to the old excise policy is because the LG raised the first red flag in this case. That's why quickly Mr. Sisodia,
the
who was
revenue-
excise minister, reverted back to the old policy.
No. The revenue minister, the Manish Sisodia, the deputy chief minister, that time also said that first policy had problems. It has porosity in that. The people from Uttar Pradesh and people from Haryana, the adjacent areas, were selling their liquor in
So why did
Delhi.
you go back to that
was
first
the
policy?
reason. That was the reason. That was the reason we brought the second policy. That was the reason.
So
But
why did you
Lieutenant,
stop the second policy then?
CBI
Within a few months you stopped the second policy,
No,
went
no,
back to the
where-
first policy. Why?
So that is the only reason we are telling. We would have made more profits with the second policy. But
But that's not what the CAG
happened?
is saying.
Why-
The CAG is saying that 2,000 crore net loss to the exchequer. Where did you
So
make the
was
net profit?
Was the second excise policy fine or not? What CAG is saying about this?
CAG is saying
What
exactly
the
this,
report-
that there was a lack of transparency in the pricing, there's a violation of testing rules, weak enforcement on illegal trading, enabling monopolies and brand pushing. It is a
So
litany list of what all was wrong with your excise policy, the new excise policy that you brought.
See, there was 2 policies. First, we have to tell everybody the clear thing. There were 2 policies. One was older one and other was second one. And the second one was then taken back. What was the reason of taking that? Why the governor interfered? Why the CBI interfered? Why they didn't? The revenue would have been much more than the real rates. The revenue would have been much more. in the second
Mr. Rohan
report,
Gupta,
not in the
please
first
weigh in.
report.
That is not my understanding. Certainly, that's not the understanding of ordinary Delhiites. The understanding is that the reason why quickly Aam Aadmi Party reverted back to the old policy was because serious flaws were being pointed to in the new liquor policy, including the revenue loss to the exchequer, the fact that retail and wholesale commissions had gone up and so on and so forth. It was first flagged by the LG and then the minister went back to the old policy, thereby in a sense vindicating the fact that the new policy was flawed. Anyway, Rohan Gupta, please
Exactly,
respond.
Zaka, precisely. And this is the kind of politics which Aam Aadmi Party has been doing for last 10 years, and that's why people of Delhi voted them out. When things are crystal clear, it is as simple as the glass, and still they are trying to take it somewhere else. It's very clear. If you see this new excise policy, they increase the commission of middlemen, and due to which the whole corruption of 2,000 crore happened. And that is why the exchequer, there was loss of exchequer to around 2,000 crores, and still they are taking it somewhere else. And you are very right. If their policy was correct, why did they cancel that policy and move back to the old policy? And this is the basic question. If they were true, they were right in their opinion, they shouldn't have cancelled. So clear-cut zakat, there is a diversion of money by ensuring that the intermediary, the commission agents or the dealers who are in between the manufacturer and the consumer, their income was increased. And if you see the corruption, the money trail where money has gone, it is linked to the people who are the distributors. And across India, wherever Aam Aadmi Party people, they receive the money, it is from these dealers only. So, absolutely Aam Aadmi Party today is totally exposed. Before elections, Zaka, if you remember, there were many debates. They were questioning, no, there is no such report. And this is absolutely BJP is lying and all. Today, they are asking different questions. So how can you run this kind of politics where people have voted to you for running the government for 11 years? You were just accusing opposition parties.
It's not just on the excise policy. Mr. Ahluwalia, I want to come back to you. because on Delhi's public health infrastructure, again, the report by the CAG has been extremely scathing of the manner in which the Mr. Kejriwal government underutilized the COVID-19 funds. Centre released 787.91 crore. What was utilized was 580 crores. There was a shortfall of 30 crores. In fact, there was a shortfall of 150 crores overall by the amount of money that was released by the centre to the state in the middle of COVID. Failure to expand hospital beds. 1,357 beds were added. The target from 2016 to 2021 was 32,000 beds. You were not even able to achieve 5% of the target of beds. The bed occupancy rates exceeded from 100% to 189%. So basically, for every two patients, there was one bed. The patients were made to share beds or lie on floors. It also flags off severe staff shortage. 8,194 vacancies in the health department, 21% nursing staff vacancy and 38% paramedic staff deficiency. 50 to 96% shortage of doctors. This is for public health, supposed to be one of your fortes, health and education. And this is what the CAG has pointed out.
Number one, I just asked my spokesperson from Bharatiya Janata Party, that how Bharatiya Janata Party has received electoral bonds from Reddy, who was the prime accused in this case. They have not answered it. Okay, no problem. They will not answer because the main people behind the excise policy, when they say that it was Reddy, why they are not answering this simple question? The same excise policy which you say is not transparent, which you say is not right, is implemented in Punjab. And from the same excise policy, sir, from the same excise policy,
sir, please answer on the public health question that I asked you. Please answer from the public health question.
I'll answer that also. See, I'll answer that also. Now you come to the public health part. The public health part, the Delhi being the capital of India, why people from Uttar Pradesh, why people from Bihar are traveling to Delhi for their medical treatment? It is one country. Everyone has a right to travel in the national capital.
Sir, that's like saying people in Jalandhar and Hoshiarpur can't come to PGI Chandigarh. Come on. What logic is this?
No, I am telling you, when you say that we have not utilized, we have underutilized the central fund, you are saying that oxygen was given by whom to us? By the center or by the state? Why the trucks coming from Haryana was stopped by the Haryana Chief Minister at that time? What was the reason behind it? Why they were ill-treated, our health workers, because of what reason? Only one reason, that neighboring states, which are ruled by the Bharatiya Janata Party, they trying to create these kinds of pressures. And that is the reason they give all the reports that now they have done this, they have done that.
So, sir, underutilization of central funds is also because of neighboring states. Not adding enough beds is also because of neighboring states. Completing 3 hospitals with a delay of 3 to 6 years is also because of neighboring states.
Was the first government in the
severe staff shortage, 8,195 vacancies across the health department. That's also because of neighboring states.
We were the only government in COVID 2019 which made the bigger halls, which converted them to the hospitals, which made them additional beds, where we generated that we will put oxygen cylinders and we put oxygen plants as well.
Sir,
we were the only.
I was in Delhi in 2020 when the COVID happened. So I personally know people who have run from pillar to post because there was lack of oxygen.
This happened
let's please not demean the people who lost their lives and who lost their loved ones during COVID. Anyway, Rohan Gupta, final word. So the point is simply this. You have also said there are 14 CAG reports. When will you bring those CAG reports? When will the people of Delhi get to know if there has been corruption? Ultimately, look, CAG reports have no meaning or value. There was a CAG report against Mr. Raja in the 2G scam. Ultimately, what happened? Court gave him a clean shit.
See, Zaka, when you see this CAG report, it is a crystal clear the way Aam Aadmi Party had fooled people of Delhi. It is absolutely exploding revelation to the real facts. And they cannot argue on this fact. But still, if you see Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, he is still asking you questions. So counter question cannot be answered to the question. He has no answer. And if you see Zaka, whatever new reports come, whether it is Sheesh Mahal or other irregularities, everywhere Aam Aadmi Party will be exposed, and people of Delhi will understand how much Aam Aadmi Party has fooled them for last 10 years in name of non-corruption, in name of transparent government.
Okay.
That is the objective. And on other side, if you see Zaka, Delhi BJP government, they are crystal clear on their agenda, whether cleaning of Yamuna, whether offering whatever promises made by BJP government.
No, that we'll wait and see. That people of Delhi are patient. They will wait and see if Delhi BJP lives up to its promises. But anyway, that's a different debate. I want to ask Rohan to stay on for our second face-off. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahluwalia. I want to move on from north to south, where the CPIM in Kerala seems to be caught in a strange political predicament. A party document in connection with its upcoming 24th Party Congress, it's called the Draft Political Resolution, has triggered a massive controversy. The CPIM in this document, which is sent to the state committees, and then the state committees have to endorse this, and ultimately the political resolution has to be adopted in the party congress. The party congress is coming up in the month of April in the city of Madurai in Tamil Nadu. This particular political draft resolution says that it does not consider, the CPIM does not consider the Modi government in the centre as a fascist or neo-fascist entity. This is drastically different from what the CPIM itself has been saying for a number of years now, and it is drastically different from what the CPIM's allies, including the CPI, the CPIML, even the Congress in the India bloc has been saying. So there is divergence in the CPM's own stand. The party has declared in the last two congresses that the Modi government and its parent organization, the RSS, under whose control it works, exhibits fascist tendencies. They have now turned that language and said that they are not fascist or neo-fascist. So what explains this change of stand? The opposition, whether it's the Congress or whether it is the CPM's own allies in the LDF there, say that this is a blatant double standard, and this exposes what the Congress calls some kind of an internal understanding between Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan's government and Mr. Modi's government. Some kind of underhand dealing is what they're alleging. A team, B team, those jibes are flying around thick and fast as well. But let me just take you through that document. This is a draft resolution. This has to be, of course, endorsed by the various state committees, and ultimately the party Congress has to adopt it. This is what it says, that fascism under Mussolini, under Hitler, in these eras, it was classified as classical fascism, whereas later manifestations are described as neo-fascism. Now, this is what the draft resolution says, and I quote, "We have stated that the present political setup under the BJP RSS is, quote, a Hindutva corporate authoritarian regime displaying neo-fascist characteristics. We are not saying that the Modi government is a fascist or neo-fascist entity, nor are we characterizing the Indian state as a neo-fascist state." This is what the draft political resolution says. Let's listen in to this huge war of words that's now happening between Congress and CPM on the one hand, and the CPM's own allies in the LDF in Kerala.
The stand taken by the Prakash Karat and the new CPM leadership is highly deplorable, and it is not going to help the India Alliance as well as the secular credentials of CPM. The new party line, which is going to be discussed in the party congress at Madurai, is very clear that CPM is having understanding with the BJP and RSS. How can you say that BJP and RSS is not a fascist organization? They have all characteristics of a fascist organization.
Rohan Gupta of the BJP still continues to be with us. Dr. Sumant Raman will be joining us in just a moment. Just to underline again, Rohan, what this draft resolution is saying, ultimately, this has to be adopted in the CPIM's party congress, but this is what it is saying, that the present government is a Hindutva corporate authoritarian regime. This dispensation displays neo-fascistic characteristics. It is not saying that the Modi government is fascist or neo-fascist, and not characterizing the Indian state as a neo-fascist state. This is what the resolution says.
See, Zaka, obviously in politics you have to oppose the party which is in your opposition. But in that process, you should not go below the belt or below cross that line where you are questioning the basic narrative where country is not with you. If you see Indi Gadbandhan, so-called Indi Gadbandhan, whether it is Kum or whether it is Sanatan or whether it is Bangladesh Hindu atrocities, any such issue, wherever these kind of issues have come, these so-called Indi Gadbandhan parties, they have always represented a narrative where the overall narrative of the people was obviously opposite them. If you see Congress party leaders, they go out of the country, they talk about, war within the nation, the states, getting help of other countries in India, and then they want to take narrative of people of India. No, you question BJP. You have right to question BJP government. You have right to question their decision. Absolutely, all that is fine.
Okay.
But when you cross the line, where in that process of opposing BJP, you touch the narrative of the country or the self-respect of the country, people will not forgive you. And now, I think this is a realization by CPM. They have realized this fact that if in the process of opposing Modi government, you are questioning the basic narrative which the country has already aligned.
So
they are doing not.
So Dr. Sumant Raman is also joining us. First, it was Mr. Shashi Tharoor who praised the Modi government. He continues to stand by his comments. He says that's his personal opinion. Where there is a good thing being done, he's of the firm belief that it needs to be appreciated. So that was Mr. Tharoor earlier on. Now you have the CPIM draft political resolution saying that the Modi government is not fascist or neo-fascist. It's not characterizing the Indian state as a neo-fascist state. Rohan Gupta says this is a realization amongst the opposition that, okay, you can oppose Modi, you can oppose BJP, but you can't come across as opposing a nationalist playbook or a nationalist force.
Zaka, I personally feel that there is not a great deal of difference when you call them a Hindutva corporate authoritarian regime with neo-fascist tendencies. Now, they are doing a delicate balancing act because obviously that they have an assembly election coming up next year. So this is probably an attempt to sort of not go the whole hog and call the government a fascist one. Remember, Zaka, you know very well that a large chunk of the CPM vote is actually Hindu vote in Kerala because the minorities tend to go with the UDF for obvious reasons. So fundamentally, this is I don't want to use the word monkey balancing, but it's a balancing act which the CPM is playing, and I think that justified.
No, but balancing act for what? I mean, they are at the ideological polar opposite of the BJP and RSS. And secondly, if they have used the same language in the two previous party congresses, what has suddenly changed? The Congress is saying that this is finally the cat being let out of the bag, that there is some kind of underhand dealing between the CPM and the BJP in Kerala. That's what Mr. Chenithala has told.
No, let's look at it from a different perspective. The issue in Kerala, ever since elections became slightly more of a tripolar contest, they still aren't fully tripolar, but at least in some seats they are. Where it has become a tripolar contest, you will always have this charge being made by Party A that B and C have colluded, Party B that A and C have colluded, and Party C that A and B have colluded. This has been going on in Kerala, and there is a truth to some of this. In fact, one of the charges which was once laid by the CPM was that the Congress and BJP had colluded in some seats. So this is something which has been going on. I don't see a great deal of credence. My personal take on this is they are trying to sort of avoid calling the Modi government names at this point of time for not wanting to unnecessarily antagonize
what is Shashi Tharoor's incentive in praising Mr. Modi? He doesn't have an election for the next 4 years.
No, Shashi Tharoor's incentive is quite different. Shashi Tharoor has his problems with the Congress High Command. It's very clear that for all practical purposes, he may be heading towards the exit from the Congress party. So that is a different issue altogether. But the point is that Kerala goes to the elections next year, and a large chunk of the CPM Politburo is made up of people with a focus on Kerala. It's the only state where they are in power.
Rohan Gupta, so neither CPM changing its language nor Shashi Tharoor praising the Prime Minister has anything to do with a realization that you can't oppose Mr. Modi or the BJP beyond a point. It is simply hard politics is what Dr. Raman is saying, that ultimately the CPM knows a large part of the Hindu vote is where they derive their vote bank from in Kerala, and therefore they can't be seen as going whole hog against Mr. Modi's government. It has nothing to do with realizing that you can't oppose nationalist tendencies or nationalist playbook. That's his contention.
So, Saka, in politics, if any political party realizes that opposing their opposition party in certain way is not correct, if that is not realization, then what? Obviously, in politics, every party is for the power. And if they now realize that if they have to retain power or they get back to power, they cannot oppose their opposition party in such a way. That is what the realization is. Obviously, again, I am telling, as an opposition party, everybody has right to oppose BJP government. But if you cross the line, people are not going to be with you. That is what the self-realization is. I am not saying that CPM and BJP will have the same policies. No. But when CPM is criticizing BJP now, they are doing it to ensure that they are not crossing the line where people don't appreciate their narrative. And that is what so-called independent parties have been doing.
Is it also an acknowledgement, Dr. Raman, that you had a government that's won 3 consecutive mandates, 2 of it on its own strength, and the third one, even though the numbers have been reduced, it is still the first time after Jawaharlal Nehru that 3 consecutive mandates have gone to the same dispensation. Maybe now the word fascist rings hollow after 3 mandates.
I don't really think that the CPM has changed its stance for from an ideological perspective. Clearly, their strategy right now is with a strong focus on the Kerala election, where they will be with their backs to the wall. They've been in power for 10 years. So they are going to struggle in that election, and they need every vote that they can get.
Okay.
And there's no harm in playing playing down the fascist angle. It is very likely, if in the unlikely event that the CPM wins the next election, that the Modi government could be characterized as fascist after a year. But right now, this is nothing but a political positioning.
Okay,
and
you're calling it political monkey balancing.
Congress uses soft Hindutva. Congress uses soft Hindutva when the elections come. They go on temple runs. BJP does, reach out to minorities just before elections. All parties do this.
Okay, so it's part of a sort of a political exercise where it's trying to sort of work up its base, which incidentally in Kerala, and I agree with you on this part, happens to be predominantly Hindu, the CPM vote. But we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us, Rohan Gupta and Dr. Sumant Raman. I want to move on to another story. Congress leader Sajjan Kumar has been sentenced to life imprisonment today by Delhi court for his role in the killing of 2 Sikhs during the 1984 anti-Sikh riots in the national capital. This is the second life sentence for Sajjan Kumar. He's already serving time for his involvement in the Delhi cantonment riots case. The Delhi court today found sufficient material to form a prima facie opinion that Sajjan Kumar was not only a participant in the riots, but he had also led the mob which attacked Jaswant Singh and his son in the Saraswati Vihar area of Delhi in November of 1984. My colleague Ananya in fact spoke to some people outside the court, some of the victims' families. Many of the victims who were directly involved have even passed away. Some of their second generation have been taking this legal battle forward. Let's listen into Ananya's take, and then I'll expand this further.
After the mass genocidal killings of Sikhs in 1984, after the death of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, 41 years later today, the Rouse Avenue Court in the national capital has awarded a life imprisonment to Sajjan Kumar, one of Congress's leaders at that particular point of time, who was accused of, in fact, and was convicted later for, in fact, instigating that particular mob, for rioting and, in fact, looting and murdering people. Today, the court has convicted and sentenced Sajjan Kumar to life imprisonment in this particular case. It has completely gone on to say that these victims saw not only their family members being brutally killed, but also, in fact, their houses being burnt down and looted by this particular mob, which Sajjan Kumar was also a part of. Not only this, the court, though, did not give a death penalty into this particular case, which was the demand of the prosecution, but said that this case does not qualify as the rarest of the rare one because
So from presenting this case as a rarest of rare to listing the other crimes committed by Sajjan Kumar, the prosecution made a strong appeal seeking the death penalty, but the court observed that Sajjan Kumar is already serving a life imprisonment and it did not want to further add by taking this up to the death penalty stage. The court also said that the accused is already 80 years old. Remember, it's taken 40 years for the victims in this case to get justice. Sajjan Kumar was merely 40 years old when he undertook this mass killing. Now, 40 years later, he's being sentenced to life. How much more the rest of his life would he be alive at all is a question that the court also has pondered upon. Furthermore, the court said that he's suffering from hypertension, lumbar spondylitis, recurrent dyselectrolytemia with hyponatremia, as well as Parkinson's disease. So the court has taken a slightly more compassionate view. Sajjan Kumar's wife is also nearly 75 years old and is reported to be bedridden on account of serious illness. The court also noted that Sajjan Kumar has roots in society and that his behavior has been and conduct has been satisfactory so far, and nothing adverse has been reported against him. While the court did not see any merit in granting the death penalty, the victims of the 1984 anti-Sikh riots were unhappy with the decision. They even staged a protest outside the court and vowed to continue their fight. Ananya spoke with some of them.
ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ फांसी तो नहीं हुई भले लेकिन फिर भी लाइफ इंप्रिजनमेंट दी गई है
ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਆਇਆ ਇਸ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਸੰਤੁਸ਼ਟ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਦੇਖੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ 14 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਕੈਂਚ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਰਸਵਤੀ ਵਿਆਹ ਦਾ ਮਾਮਲਾ ਸੀ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਫਾਂਸੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਿਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ 40 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਉਜੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ
पर फिर भी कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा तो इंसाफ होया
ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਦੇਖੋ 11 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੰਦਾ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਬੈਂਡ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ 11 ਬੰਦੇ ਬੇੜਾ ਦੇ ਵੀਰ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਰੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਤਾਂ ਕੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ
A day after her Mahakumbh visit, Bollywood actor Preeti Zinta was in the crosshairs of the Congress party. The Kerala unit of the Congress party has claimed that the actor has allegedly given the control of her social media accounts to the BJP in a bid to waive off 18 crore loan that she has against her name. Preeti Zinta, of course, was quick to take on the Congress, and her fiery response rendered the grand old party a bit speechless. Now, here's exactly what transpired between one of the social media accounts of the Congress party and Preeti Zinta. The Congress's big charge on Preeti Zinta was that the actor clarified that her social media handles were all being used by her. The charge by the Congress was that she has outsourced it to the BJP. The party then clarified it's good to know that she manages her social media accounts. Responding to the 18 crore loan way-off claim, which the Congress's handle had made, Preeti Zinta said that she had taken the loan and repaid it in full nearly 10 years ago. To this, the Congress replied that other celebrities had handed over their social media accounts to a notorious IT cell. The Kerala Congress was also slammed by the actor, who accused the party's handle of promoting fake news. Embarrassed, the Congress thanked the actor later, issuing a clarification on her loan position, but the actor was just not going to have it. Upping the ante, she even accused the Congress of indulging in vile gossip and clickbait. In an attempt to control the damage, the Congress said it would readily accept its mistake if it had made any. While actors falling prey to fake news is not new, it was rather a rare sighting of a political party's social media handle endorsing it. An hour after her first post, Preeti Zinta took to social media again to hit out at journalists who was among the first to report on this alleged loan write-off.
Well, a famous movie of Preeti Zinta was Kya Kehna. Today, that's exactly what the Kerala Congress is asking of her amidst all these allegations coming in from them on two important points. One, of course, is the fact that there was an 18,000 crore rupee loan which was waived off in exchange for her being Meherban on the BJP. Over the last few days and weeks, we have been seeing posts from Preeti Zinta where she seemed to be admiring many of the policies of the Modi government. That's what the Congress party in Kerala is asking. Is it in exchange for this trade-off and praising the Modi government that your loan has been waived off? And second, have you handed over your handle to the BJP IT cell where they are tweeting on your favor? In their favor. So there are 2 points which have been raised and a clarification which nonetheless has come in from the actor, where she says, one, I'm capable of handling my handle myself and I'm conducting it myself. Second, there has been no loan waiver. I have paid back each and every loan and the repayment schedule is there for all to see. Not that the matter ends over here. The Congress party in Kerala has countered by saying, we accept our mistake and we are glad to know that you are the one who's handling your social media handle. But as far as a loan waiver is concerned, it is based on the reports, and they list out a long list of those reports to make the point that how her loan was actually waived off. They've asked her for a clarification, and they've said that we would love to know that how are you paying back and what is your payment schedule.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the two-day Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025. 7 countries, including Australia, Germany, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, Bhutan and Thailand, are participating in the summit. Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani promised 50,000 crore investment in the state across 5 different verticals over the next 5 years. Others too have vowed to invest across various sectors in Assam. Speaking at the event, Prime Minister Modi emphasized the state's economic potential. He said that Advantage Assam is not just a summit, it is a movement. He's linked Assam's potential with the rest of the country and indeed for the rest of the world, and how Assam has been a singular point of connection between India and its Act East policy. Advantage Assam 2.0 Summit has solidified the state's position as a key investment destination. It is also rapidly becoming India's gateway to Southeast Asia and a linchpin of the Modi government's Act East policy. But this two-day event is more than just about business. The summit aims to integrate the Northeast into the broader economic framework. The investment summit will also strengthen India's Act East policy. It will promote social stability in a state which has been grappling with a violent history, which now, for the last decade or so, has found a durable peace, and it could be potentially an example for other states in North India which are still dealing with a violent present. The summit also signals a pivot to development and rebuilding trust between the state and the people, with an aim to upgrade connectivity that will ease historic isolation. Remember, at a time when China is building infrastructure at the speed of knots, Assam has become the gateway to the rest of the Northeast for upgrading infrastructure connectivity in the Northeast. The summit will also enhance national security on the eastern frontier, given the heightened tensions with China, particularly in the last 5 years. Let's listen in to what the Prime Minister had to say and various business leaders had to say at the Advantage Assam Summit 2.0.
इतिहास गवाह है कि पहले भी भारत की प्रॉस्पेरिटी में ईस्टर्न इंडिया का बहुत बड़ा रोल हुआ करता था। आज जब भारत विकसित होने की तरफ बढ़ रहा है, तो एक बार फिर ईस्टर्न इंडिया, हमारा ये नॉर्थ ईस्ट अपना सामर्थ्य दिखाने जा रहा है। असम में हुए ढेर सारे इन्वेस्टमेंट ने, आप सभी ने असम को अनलिमिटेड पॉसिबिलिटीज का राज्य बना दिया। बीते दशक में अनेक पीस एकॉर्ड्स किए गए हैं। बॉर्डर से जुड़े लॉन्ग पेंडिंग इश्यूज का समाधान किया गया है।
You have given an inspiring new mantra to Assam: Act East, Act Fast, and Act First. Assam indeed has the potential to develop so fast that the Southeast Asia and the East Asia will begin to look westwards towards Assam as the land of growth opportunities. Our first priority is to make Assam tech ready and AI ready. For us, Assam's digital transformation is a noble and patriotic mission.
The CBSE has recommended draft norms for conducting Class 10 board exams twice a year. These suggestions were sought on a new proposal. Remember, this is part of the National Education Policy 2020, that Class 10 board exams will now happen 2 times in a year. Once, I believe, in December, and the other that will happen sometime in March. So the CBSE has floated this proposal, Now it seems like the Central Board is going ahead with board exams twice a year. They had experimented with this a few years ago, then suspended it. Now CBSE is once again reintroducing the proposal to have 2 board exams as opposed to 1 in an academic year. Let me go across to Sharon, who has more details on this. Sharon, so what has the CBSE seen that is beneficial in having 2 board exams as opposed to 1? It was a policy that they tried very briefly, but then suspended because there was opposition both from parents and students. So what has changed?
Absolutely. And even when we talk about just few months back in June, once again, there was a meeting last year where once again the CBSE officials said that they will not be able to conduct the exams twice. But eventually the Education Ministry held multiple meetings with them. And the reason what the CBSE and the Education Ministry is saying for this step is because it is basically to make the students' life much easier. Students are facing anxiety, illness, and to ensure that as far as their chances are concerned, there are multiple chances so that they can score much better. If they have not scored in, say, one examination, then they can improve their chances in the next examination. Of course, we have to see what all are the details, whether it is going to be voluntary examination, whether all the students of the 10th and the 12th standard have to give it or not. All these nitty-gritties we have to see, of course, because right now what we have been told is that the details will be uploaded on website, and 9th of March is the last date when the stakeholders can give their suggestion, and accordingly this can become the new policy.
All right, Sharon, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Ukraine and the United States are closing in on an agreement that would grant Washington a share of Kiev's natural resources. This was confirmed by President Donald Trump and a senior Ukrainian government official after an intense pressure campaign from the American president to strike a deal. Trump said that President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine may come to the White House this week or even next week to sign the agreement. Trump said the agreement's now being worked on. They're very close to a final deal, even as he was flanked by French President Emmanuel Macron, who was on a visit to the White House.
We must have an agreement with Ukraine on critical minerals and rare earths and various other things as security. And I think that that's happening. I think we've made a lot of progress. I had a report just given to me before walking in that we've made Emmanuel a great deal of progress toward getting that.
Earlier in that day, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister took to X and posted that Ukrainian and US teams are in the final stages of negotiations regarding the minerals agreement. The question of mineral wealth of Ukraine is tied up in conflicts over US military and financial aid to Ukraine and how to end the war. Zelensky has said that Ukraine must have Western arms and backing in any peace deal to prevent a future Russian assault. Trump, on the other hand, has insisted that the war must end quickly without offering any security guarantees. This economic agreement with Ukraine will not be a guarantee of any future aid for war, neither will it include any commitment of US personnel in the region. That is the insistence of the White House. President Vladimir Putin of Russia also appealed to Trump's interests in natural resources, telling a state television reporter that Russia's deposits of rare earth minerals, which are used in high-tech manufacturing, were of much greater magnitude than Ukraine's. He also said that Russia could work with American companies to help develop these deposits, even those which are to be found inside Russian-occupied Ukraine. The interview, which was shown on state television, shows Putin working hard to appeal to Trump's interests in deal-making and in profits. It came even as Trump has swung American foreign policy in Putin's favor at a rather dizzying speed. He had a long phone call with Putin earlier this month, followed by the first high-level contact between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Riyadh last week. And now it was further underscored by the United States siding with Russia in a vote at the United Nations on Monday on the third anniversary of the Ukraine war. It is the first time that Russia and America have voted on the same side since this war began. The draft of the minerals agreement between the United States and Ukraine includes a demand that Ukraine commit itself to giving the US $500 billion in revenue that is generated from natural resources, including oil and gas and minerals. The White House has described this request as compensation for American military aid, but Ukraine has been defiant, saying that would create a huge financial burden for future generations. In fact, the Kiel Institute estimates that since the war began 3 years ago, the United States has given close to $120 billion in military and non-military assistance to Ukraine. Trump now wants some of that money back. Also, the United States is not offering any security guarantees to deter further Russian aggression against Ukraine, which Ukraine has been asking for. The request for American-backed security guarantees has been a standing demand of President Zelensky. The absence of any guarantees was one of the reasons why the Ukrainian leader has been refusing to sign previous draft agreements. The agreement proposes the establishment of a co-managed fund to support Ukraine's economic development, particularly its mineral development. The US seeks preferential access to Ukraine's critical minerals like lithium, graphite, and other rare earth elements. Ukraine is pushing for security guarantees in a bid to deter future Russian aggression. Those have not been clearly outlined in the draft agreement. In fact, the initial draft seems to suggest a significant portion of the profits from these rare earth minerals could go to the United States, but the terms of that have been contested by Ukraine. Under the terms of the draft agreement, Ukraine would have to relinquish half of the revenues from any future monetization of its natural resources, which means 50% of any monies that Ukraine hopes to get out of the extraction of these natural resources will go to the United States. The revenues would be directed to a fund in which the United States would hold the maximum percentage of financial interest that is allowed under US law. The White House has argued that the mere presence of American economic interests in Ukraine would deter future Russian aggression. The White House insists that there doesn't need to be specific security guarantees spelled out in the deal. Kiev estimates that about 5% of the world's critical raw materials are in Ukraine. This includes about 19 million tons of proven reserves of graphite, which the Ukrainian Geological Survey says makes the country one of the top 5 leading reserves for the supply of graphite. Graphite is used to make batteries for electric vehicles. Ukraine also has a third of all European lithium deposits, the key component in making batteries. And prior to the Russian invasion, Ukraine's global share of titanium production, which is a lightweight metal that is used in the construction of aeroplanes and power stations, was about 7% of all global reserves. All right, so it's 3 years since the Ukraine war began. Mr. Trump seems to be in a hurry to end this war without Ukraine's participation or consent, or for that matter, that of the Europeans. Let me now go across to Mr. Oleksiy Goncharenko. He's a Ukrainian member of parliament. Thank you very much for speaking with us. It's 3 years since this war began. There was a vote at the UN yesterday. For the first time, Russia and America seem to be on the same side. Mr. Trump has said that he wants to quickly end this war with or without Ukrainian participation. What is the prevailing mood in Ukraine right now as to directionally where this war is going and Mr. Trump's hurry in wanting to put an end to this war?
Hello, Ukraine wants peace more than anybody else in the world because it's Ukrainians who are dying, unfortunately, every day. And we want peace. And we hope that President Trump can achieve the deal with the Russians. For us, the most important is not who is at the table. I would like to see the Ukrainians, but if there is no Ukrainians there, I think we just need to be clear about our red lines, about what is important for Ukraine, what is crucial for Ukraine. If it will not be achieved in a deal, this deal will not happen because it's Ukrainians who are fighting, it's not Americans or anybody else. We value support of our allies. We are thankful for them, to them for this. But again, that's who we are fighting. So what is crucial for Ukraine? Crucial is, first, even if the hostilities will end with some Ukrainian territories still occupied by Russians, and it looks like it's possible, very possible, we will never accept that they are Russia. And nobody in the world should do. And there is international law. This territory is Ukrainian territories. Yeah, they are today illegally occupied by Russia. And it looks like for some time they will be illegally occupied by Russia, but it is illegal occupation. This is important. One day Russian Empire, the last colonial empire in Europe, will fall apart. And we will, like it happened 100 years ago with Russian Empire, 30 years ago with Soviet Union. That will happen with them again, and we will regain control over our territories. Second, we are a sovereign nation. What does it mean? It means, so we need to protect our sovereignty. Sovereignty means that the country makes its choices itself. So where to go, what army to have, what alliances to join. This is very important. And three, security guarantees. So that Ukraine should receive security guarantees, because we don't believe Putin, we don't believe Russia, and you should not believe them. If they will have possibility to attack, they will attack again. So they need to be prevented from new aggression by some security guarantees.
But Mr. Trump has said those last 2 points, which is security guarantees and any form of membership to NATO, even at a future date, both are off the table.
Speaking about NATO, yeah, I said that it should be a right of Ukraine where to go, but it's the right of NATO countries to take us or not. That is their sovereign right to decide what they do. They want to see us there or not. But NATO is not the only possible alliance which exists in the world. So Ukraine should be free in its own choices where to go. If these partners don't want to see us there now, okay. But first of all, maybe they will change their position. And, I would tell you, Ukraine today is 1 million battle-hardened soldiers. Such army has only one other country in the world. It's Russian Federation. Even United States has not so many infantry battle-hardened in the war of 21st century. So I think the day will come when other countries, today Ukraine is importer of security, but immediately after hostilities will end, Ukraine will be exporter of security. So I think Ukraine will be needed. But again, it will be decision, but it should be our sovereign decision. And speaking about security guarantees, President Trump said it should Europe care about this. Okay, let's Europe care about this. We're not against. European countries are our allies. And it can be European boots on the ground in Ukraine, other kind of guarantees. Okay.
Mr. Trump is also negotiating a minerals deal. He wants lithium and graphite and other rare earth elements. He wants, half of revenues to be generated from the extraction of those minerals to go into a fund where America will have the majority stake. He wants $500 billion sort of post-dated compensation for the money that America has spent in the Ukraine war. Is any of this acceptable to Ukraine?
Look, there is a lot of rhetorics. There is no deal for the moment. So we need to discuss kind of an actual deal. Speaking about, for example, $500 billion, already President Trump doesn't say this. Last his post in Truth Social, he says speaking about tens of billions of dollars. But tens of billions of dollars is not 500, definitely. So there were never $500 billion. Ukraine never received $500 billion from United States. No, Ukraine also have not received $350 billion. That's also will never receive this. So which should be a fair deal about economic cooperation, and we're absolutely open to this. Speaking about any bills, we can go very far away by like this. If we will start to come and say who gave whom what and how to calculate it and estimate it, there were kind of there were conditions when this money were given. They were given as a support, as a grant. Ukraine is not calculating how much did our nuclear weapons cost in 1994 when we voluntarily gave it up. It's cost hundreds of billions of dollars. But it was our decision. We decided that in order for non-proliferation policy, we gave up it. And unfortunately, the guarantees which we received from our partners, I don't speak about Russia, it's clear they always lie. But United States and United Kingdom, we don't see these guarantees now. So, we are open to any negotiations, but they should be fair to Ukrainian people.
All right, Mr. Goncharenko, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Alexei Goncharenko,
Thank you very much.
the Ukrainian Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you.
जिन्होंने यूज किया है।
Our focus is on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time, you know. We're working on deals right now, transactions right now, and in particular, the big one is to get the war stopped, whether it's ceasefire or direct to an agreement.
I think it's good to have discussion. I think it's useful to have negotiation. I think it's super important to go to the peace. But my strong point was to say, let's try to get something first which can be assessed, checked and verified. And let's be sure that we build sufficient guarantees on the short run. And this is where we are ready to be engaged. As for France, a lot of my European colleagues are ready to be engaged. But we do need this American backup because this is part of the credibility of the security guarantees. And this is our collective deterrence capacity. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for the time.
We want peace. And I think the initiative of President Trump is a very positive one. Be careful, because we need something substantial for Ukraine, but for the security of Europe and France. And second, let's work together on the future to preserve security guarantees, meaning to be sure that this peace will be respected by Russia. First, to have a truce. I think it could be done in the weeks to come. During this period of time, we negotiate on security guarantees, land and territories, and it will be the responsibility of the Ukrainian president. Reconstruction. The US will have the deal on critical minerals and rare earths and so on.
Fine.
So we have to negotiate with the US, with the allies, with Ukraine, which type of security guarantee makes sense. It could be first, increase the capacities of Ukraine to maintain a strong army. We worked very hard together with the UK Prime Minister to have a French-UK proposal to say we are ready to send troops, not to go to the front line, not to go in confrontation, but to be in some locations, being defined by the treaty, as a presence to maintain this peace and our collective credibility with the US backup and a US backstop. We didn't tariff the US. We want to cut red tape for us as Europeans, and it will simplify the life of your companies, fine. But I think the solution in this very moment is not to increase tariffs. Why? Because the emergency is to increase our defense and security expenditures. I understood your priority is to put tariff on China because President Trump said they are unfair with us. Come on, you cannot have a trade war with China and Europe at the same time.
Thank you very much.